All right. What's up, Onyx family? Last podcast for Black History Month, February. Glad y'all could join us. Hey, Estella was supposed to be here, but unfortunately, Miss Estella is under the weather with the baby, so we're going to have Miss Estella join us sometime next month or either April. First of all, I want to apologize for being this late because I did say 4-ish. I know we're into 5-ish. But it was because of this. We was actually going to have some quality microphones today, but it didn't work out that way. Brand new microphones. These look nice, right?
Good opportunity for a review, though. They suck.
I mean, you open them up, real nice lights and everything, but unfortunately, we're just going to have to yell today, so we all kind of grew up yelling. How's the phone quality out there? How's the sound quality? You guys sound
some
good?
Thumbs up or some heart emojis.
All right, we're going to check on that with y'all. So, we like a little participation, so if y'all got some comments, Cass is going to be on the phone today, so she'll see the comments come in. Basically, we got questions that we're going to kind of ask each other that I think y'all may find, a little entertaining and a little bit, information and a little bit, what we call infotainment. So we're going to put it together, all right? So we're going to go ahead and kick it off. And let's see. And the first question is actually for me to ask Queen Cass. So I don't know if y'all saw this, but I think about a month ago, there was a public school where there was an organization of certain people passing out abortion pamphlets. And this public school that they was passing it out to, of course, it was melanated school, black school, mostly dominated. And some of the school administrators, the teachers, officials caught them doing it, and they immediately interrupted that whole party. So he was like, nah, you're not giving these babies pamphlets, this and that. So I'm gonna let Mom speak on that. How do you feel about that?
First of all, kudos to the administration for jumping in because, I am a mama bear. I'm that mother that will show up, and especially when it comes down to something like that. These are like young children that should be focused on their education, and you're around here like these are grown-ups. They don't know nothing about it. And as much as with everything else going on with, the kids getting snatched up, this is the last thing you want is for somebody to approach your kid, and think about, especially if you're religious, you got your children in church, you already had these conversations with them. You got somebody saying, hey, it's basically okay to have sex as long as you get an abortion. Just get an abortion. You good. I feel like that's just out of line. And the fact that it was, as he stated earlier, a melanated school. So yeah, be free to we're gonna take a break in a little bit. That way, in case we miss any questions, we can kind of backtrack and we can address them when we come back. But I want to know how you guys feel about that because again, as parents, we did not send our kids to school for some stranger just walk up. First of all, wear security. But like I said, luckily they was on top of that and they quickly jumped in and was like, get on out of here. Like willing to like run hands, like get on out of here. So kudos to them.
When I saw the video, the first thing that I just thought of sort of just being a predator. You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking about kids that are still in school, obviously, right? We all know that sex education is probably at its lowest point. I haven't been in school and, I'm not going to, put everything out here on the table, but I graduated in 1990. So I ain't ashamed of my age. But I think since that time, sex education has been waning. This is not the way to do it. I mean, showing up, passing out pamphlets about abortion, man, just ain't a good look. First thing we're going to think as black people is why our school? I mean, we can come up for 1,000 reasons why they came to our school. But the main thing is it was just 100% inappropriate, unacceptable. And I'm glad those school officials jumped right over it. All right, so Next question is for Cass.
All right. So, how do you feel about this upcoming election?
Oh man. We should have better choices than Biden and Trump. Y'all feel me out here? We should have better choices than Biden and Trump. So let's go ahead and kick it. There's a lot of black community. There's a lot of black people in our community, right? We are, for some reason, leaning towards Trump. And then, of course, we have the Democratic Party, which black people are traditionally have some type of blind loyalty to. I'm not talking about the parties right now. I'm talking about the individuals. You got a guy that's got umpteen 90-something felonies, correct me if I'm wrong, or charged with felonies. And then you got Biden that's obviously got some cognitive issues going on right now. But let's talk about performance, all right? There are a few things I look for in a candidate. One is to push some of the agendas that we really need. Housing right now is just off the rails. Whether you're paying rent, whether you're going to buy a house, it's exceedingly high versus the wages that we're currently earning. So that's a problem. And it's not going to get resolved overnight. I understand that I'm not an economicist or whatever, but this problem when you go live, you can't mess up. But the problem is that we have such a high value and high homes and high rent versus the wages that are being earned that we are really off the scales when it comes to this balance. Has this administration tried to put anything forth? I haven't seen it. Biden administration has worked on getting rid of some college debt. I like that because I think that's necessary. Hasn't happened for everyone, but there have been some people here that have chimed in that have said that, hey, Biden has, helped eliminate, the debt and everything. I don't see the push for what the agenda was supposed to be when he was coming in, when it came to police brutality. Not saying we haven't had a situation like George Floyd, but that situation is still alive in everyone's memory. It didn't happen a decade ago. It only happened just a couple years ago. So I have not seen policies yet. And we can go on. We can talk about reparations. We can talk about health care. There are just so many things that have not gotten addressed with this administration. Has he had the support? Absolutely not. So I think the important thing about this election coming up is that all the seats are up for grab. I think I posted that earlier on Onyx, that all the seats are up for grab. Do I plan on voting? I'll be honest with you, I have a very heavy heart about it. I'm a little politically fatigued right now when it comes to candidates, and the two that we have, it looks like it's going to be Trump and Biden, and again, we really should have better choices. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at beyond the presidency. I'm looking at the Senate, I'm looking at the House, I'm looking at local, because with these two, it is what it is. And as far as Trump is concerned, I know I have friends that are really crazy about Trump because of the stimulus package. I mean, let's just get it out there. Some people were getting paid while Trump was in office because of the stimulus packages. Everything to do with COVID, everything to do with giving some stipend, that made a lot of people happy. So they looked at Trump in a different way. And take our feelings out of it. We know Trump is just a bunch of wind when it comes to it. I mean, anything rattles off this man's brain and makes it to his vocal cords and comes out of his mouth, and it's crazy. But at the end of the day, I think we have to look beyond the presidency. I think we need to start looking at the House. We need to look at the Senate. I think we need to look local.
Right.
If we're left with those two choices, then, we're going to get probably the same results that we had in the last 8 years. The results we have from Trump and the results we have from Biden. The one thing I can say about Trump is I do remember pre-COVID, I was working at a certain dealership that I don't want to call, and I don't want to give them no advertisement.
Nope.
But my 401k was really climbing when he was in there. And I don't believe that the presidency has everything to do with the financial state of the union. I think that the influence, because he wants to give tax cuts to a certain class, which is the wealth class and also the business owners, that they kind of ease up on a few things. So I think business-minded people look at that and they automatically default to Trump. The danger behind that is Trump doesn't have a whole lot of support either. He got into office and people started leaving. So he's going to have a hard time getting a lot of his policies passed as well. But the same goes for him. We didn't really see a whole lot when it came to addressing, no one wants to talk about reparations. And I think reparations is something that needs to be on the table. No one wants to talk about really improving the healthcare system. No one wants to talk about the homeless and the housing crisis that this country currently has. And also, no one wants to really address wages. So those are things to me that are very important that I really don't see enough talked about. What about you? Voting?
Yeah. I'm going to still go out there and vote only because there's been so many, of our elder, our elders, the people before them that had went through so much just for that right to do so. So for that reason, regardless of my feelings, I will go out there and vote because of everything that was sacrificed just so we can have that right, in that respect. I'm going to go out there. Still trying to weed out everything. There's been a lot of laughs. One guy I thought, was like, okay, he would be a good candidate. I think it was Vivek or whatever his name.
Vivek.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I thought he had some really good, it didn't matter what party he was in. I was looking at, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for the country? And it seemed like he was on a good roll, and I was like, I was feeling him, and the next thing you know, he's like,
yeah, he fell on his face.
I support Trump.
He's a big Trump supporter. He says he likes Trump's policies, and
it was just like a flip. One moment he's like, like all in, and the next thing you know, it's like he's timid. So I was a little disappointed with that. And then, we gonna talk. Nikki Haley talking about she's gonna raise the retirement age. I was like, so literally, we're going to work to pay bills and die.
Yeah, we're working to die now.
Right, we're gonna have a year or two with her policy. We're gonna have a year or two. I've literally seen this. I went to a dinner and saw a lady, celebrating her retirement. This lady looked like someone that should be at home with her feet up and her grandchildren visit her. They had to help her up. She had a cane, bro. I'm like, I'm not finna work until I die, Nikki Haley. No, thank you. Talking about, the life expectancy has increased. That's a good thing.
No reward for taking care of our own health.
No, ma'am. Yeah, you're retired. I'm like 95. Okay, here you go. You can go take a nap.
No, we haven't. The crazy thing is, I don't think the next generations are having it. So I don't think Gen Y is going to have it. I don't think the Alpha generation is going to have it. I think right now they are really in trouble as far as trying to influence the youth with some of their ideas. And I think that's the problem is right now we're just not genuinely getting anyone to connect with a lot of the young voters. And
it's all about trying to keep their constituents happy, that they're not really paying attention to the needs of the people anymore.
Right.
It's like, okay, it ain't about the people anymore. We just want to satisfy those that are funding, our campaigns. Okay, I'm gonna front you this money. I want you to make sure you speak up about this. And I'm like, hey, what the heck? Are we chopped liver? Bump the people. We just gonna satisfy each other. And yeah, I have an issue with that. So
well, let's move on. Enough of that. So how do you feel about the Buffalo shooting? It's been almost a year. Happened February 15, 2023.
Wow. So, you can Google this. But this is where a 19-year-old, I think he was like 19, made it. Just, I guess, woke up one morning and was like, I'm gonna drive to New York to this random grocery store and just start shooting. Now, everybody has their little input and their little conspiracy theories, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, this guy drove from X amount of miles to this random grocery store, and he just started shooting up everybody of color. And, just random, right? But also, one of the individuals that died in that shooting was a security guard. This black security guard, ate too long, had went on, I guess, a streaming or whatever the case would be. He found a way to run an engine without gasoline.
On water, right?
Yeah. So the first guy, I think he was a white guy. This was way back. Also figured out that way. He was poisoned.
We all heard that story.
So It's almost like, everybody's seen the memes like, oh God, I cure cancer. They were like, let's hide this man. Like, like anytime you come up with something that puts a dent in the pockets, poof, you're gone.
Yep.
So unfortunately, it was tragic to me. And, again, this is just, so many people are believing that this is why this shooting happened. And if that's the case, this is such an evil place that all the innocent lives that died was just because they wanted to kill one person. So they're not talking about it. Think about it. We haven't heard a peep. And if we did, it was so minuscule that it, was something in our news feed. I just happened to Google it and I was like, wow, February 15th, it's been a year.
It's been pretty quiet. Yeah.
And it's just like, why? I mean, even how they took the guy down, it was just like, and again, say what you want, think what you want, do your own research, but I smell BS. But it's tragic, and I send thoughts and prayers and hugs to the families of those victims, and including the guy that was like, all he did was find it, invent something to make everybody's lives better, and he lost his life for it. So
most people believe that shooter was actually planted to actually carry out that purpose. Not just to go to that grocery store and just randomly shoot a bunch of black people, but in the midst of that, one of those targets happened to be the guy that invented the car, again, to run on water. So, or probably to use hydrogen. Hydrogen is a real big talk right now. So, just terrible thing, All right, your turn.
Well then. Oh, this should be funny. Now, this is one that everybody been talking about, but we wanted to try to just dive all into one day. So, you had some really interesting posts, like just really. So let's get into it about Usher and Alicia Keys. let's go,
fellas. So I had posted, are y'all cool with Usher giving your girl back shots? And in a surprising way, air back shots. Let me clear that out. Usher didn't, give actual back shots. He gave some air back shots. Most of the fellas said y'all was cool with it. I'm just trying to understand a little bit of y'all reasoning and rationale behind it. That's it. Because I ain't cool with Usher giving my wife air back shots. Pants to pants. We used to do back in the day, the hunch. I'm saying all this to say this. Most people argue that it's entertainment. Most people argue that it was rehearsed. Well, if it was rehearsed, you mean to tell me Swiss Beats sat up there and watched Usher give Alicia Keys, his wife, air back shots like 30 plus times? Because
they now. Hey, cut.
You
need to look like you enjoyed it a little bit more.
Exactly. Because when you do a rehearsal for the Super Bowl, let's just keep it 100. You know when you're doing the rehearsal for the Super Bowl, you're gonna have to rehearse this at least 30, 40, 50 times. Y'all saying if y'all was there at those rehearsals, that y'all would be okay with that. I guess y'all will for the money. I get it. You know, I mean, you know, money can make things happen. But I just keep it real. Nah. If it was me and I was at the rehearsal, hold on a second. I got something for y'all.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna put this back. See me? I'd have been like, cut. Every time they would cut. In other words, it wouldn't have went down like that. There's a whole lot of things he could have done. They could have done the spin around. They could have danced together in front of one another. You know, great performance. Very monstrous, great performance. I mean, it was a show. Usher brought out a lot of talent.
That joke was skating.
You know, skating, yeah. I ain't seen nobody
skating.
Hey, I was waiting for him to do a bungee jump or something, you know. And just do anything right about this at this stage of the game. But no, I still won't be cool with Usher giving no airbag shot. How do you feel about that?
Listen, I saw the moment, as a woman, you know what I'm saying? Like, when your man come behind you and surprise you with a hug, you know, you be like, and then you just had this big old smile on your face. That smile was not a rehearsed smile. I don't care what nobody says. You can roast me, you can whatever, but I know that smile, and that's the,
I think Usher was tickling her just a little bit. And I don't mean with his hands. All right, we can move on.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so question for you. Because this has come up a lot in politics, and it's been a lot on podcasts. Is America a racist country?
Well, we've come a very long way, but at the same time, not that far either. And we see it with, corporations, a person of color tries to go get a loan, to get a house. It's like either they get denied or there's some stipulations. They get their house appraised. It's appraised lower than it's actually worth. Like it's worth more, but they lowball them. And then people come and look at their homes, just all kind of different situations. Our children, not being able to, express themselves, good example. Let's talk about what's going on with the young man in Texas right now, who is basically being told either cut your hair or that you're gonna be in ISS, or you're not gonna be able to come to school. And a judge ruled, and I forgot what law, the name of the law they gave, but like they actually,
the Crown Act.
Wow, the Crown Act, where
Texas had the Crown
Act. It said no dreads, no locks, no twists, like, So I feel like this is an attack on, us being able to express ourselves as a culture. I disagree with it. And I do think that's racist. That's it. I think that's something to because you have children that come to school with long hair. They have young men that have long hair. But you're going to tell our young men that they cannot have dreads, they cannot have locks, twists, and things of that sort. I'm sitting here like, wow. Wow. So it's just different things. Like I think one kid couldn't compete in the track field meet, and they literally had it on video where they was cutting this boy's hair.
I remember that.
And I'm like, how tragic is that? First of all, as a parent, I would have been ready to run hands. I'm sorry. I would have been ready to run hands like, nah, let me cut your hair.
I think he was a wrestler, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I
thought it was track and field, but yeah, you're right. He was a wrestler. Yeah. And it was like their championship or something. Just outlandish stuff. And, a lot of us have a, code switch at work. I've been hearing stories about it where literally, you come in and you're one way, and then you're making sure that you're, playing the role and then you wait till you clock out and you're who you are. You should be who you are wherever you are. I applaud place of employment that's good with that, with diversity and inclusion. I really, kudos. But there's a lot of places that this is still something that a lot of us have to deal with. It's either play the role or, work somewhere else like McDonald's.
Let me chime in a little bit about, is America a racist country? I don't remember the young lady name. It was two women, one that sung the national anthem and one that sung the black national anthem. So I was looking at some of the aftermath of the Super Bowl, and there was a consensus of people that was just so upset about the black national anthem, and they went on to applaud the national anthem, American national anthem. So here's what I'm getting to. The black national anthem, I don't know if y'all ever took the time to look at the lyrics, but it's such a passive song. Lift every voice and sing. I mean, the whole song is talking about just keeping hope going. And people upset over that. Everything that black people have given to this country. And I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to pause on one thing. The military. Who's the most patriotic American in this country right now? Black people are. There is no more patriotism shown from any other group of people than black people. You know how I can prove it? Let's look at history. Went to go fight for this country. Gave our lives for this country. Came back to this country. And what happened? We got ridiculed. Lynched. Threatened. Forced to take our uniforms and medals off. Can you honestly name me another group of people that's actually gone through that? I don't think you can. There is no other group of people on this planet in the United States of America that's more patriotic than the black man and black woman. Do you know just a few years ago, black women in the military could not wear braids? Which is crazy because that's actually the best way for a black woman to kind of keep her hair if they have to go to the field or whatever. It's low maintenance. But why is that? It's always an attack on our culture. Our culture is our culture, just like they have their culture. Just like Hispanics have their culture, just like Asians have their culture. Black people got their culture too. But I think to answer this question, yes. Does it mean that every white person? Absolutely not. We know we have really good white associates, white partners, and white friends that we kick it with. You know, not gonna say we kick it with y'all all the time. We don't, but when we get together, we have a good time. So it's not an attack on per se individual wise, but when it comes to does this country still institutionalize racism? Absolutely. I mean, we can go down the line. We can go down to home ownership. We can talk about business owners. We can talk about wealth. We can talk about education. We can talk about the places that everyone live. We can keep going on and on. Everything goes back to race. Healthcare. Everything goes back to race. How many times have we seen in the medical field that medical professionals have stated that there are more fatalities when it comes to the birth rates, when it comes to black women versus other women? Why are certain people given certain treatments in the hospital that other ones are not receiving? These things are quite evident. And let's not even get into incarceration. School to prison pipeline. I mean, we can go on all day. Flint, Michigan. You know, and we talking about what? the 21st century, and we're still dealing with this. So I mean, yeah, we're still dealing with it. You got a candidate out there talking about, it's not a racist country, but she don't even use her real name. She abbreviates her name to sound a little bit more.
Nikki Haley's name is not Nikki Haley's birth name.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, we need to just. The problem with this country is there's not enough people that want to actually get together and resolve it. Period. I think a good solution is if we can get our people that are in higher places, whether we're dealing with the judicial system, whether we're dealing with healthcare, whether we're dealing with politics, everything that we're dealing with, the biggest problem, my grandfather used to say this before he died, the biggest problem among black people is unity. We're still trying to wait on someone else to give us something when we have all the tools, the resources, the professionals to do it ourselves.
We did it back then.
Absolutely.
And we can do it again.
Absolutely. We did more with each other before integration.
Mm-hmm.
But because now we're integrated, we feel like there's nothing to fight for. But there's plenty still left on the table to fight for. I mean, I don't have to go through that list again. All right. I get heated about that, so we can move on.
I ain't gonna lie, when you said lift every voice and sing, all I can think about is lift every chair and swing.
All right, you got the next question.
All right. We kind of touched on this for a minute, but you know what? We'll go ahead. How do you feel about code switching?
Whoa. Well,
I know you got some stuff that, especially from personal experience. Yes, this is hilarious. Go ahead.
So everybody that knows me personally knows I'm in sales, and now I'm working from home. I sell warranties.
I witnessed this too.
And, I do something called a one call close. So it's very important for me to build rapport fast. It's very important for me to build trust. Very important for me to really get to the point of asking for the sale. And there have been times where I've seen it necessary that I may have to lighten my voice in order to do that. Now lately I haven't done that. I've been my usual, I like to think I'm a baritone, usual baritone way. I got a little deeper there.
It takes every part of me not to laugh so hard when he has done it. It was just...
But yeah, there have been times I had to answer calls like, hey, thank you for calling blah, blah, blah company. This is Donnie Jackson. How can I help you out? I'm going to tell you at the end of the day, none of us should have to code switch. But, what you got to do is what you got to do. I don't like it. I actually heard the term from my son because he works at Apple. And he came home one day and I was talking to him about certain characteristics I have to put on every now and then. He said, oh, yeah, Dad, that's called code switching. I was like, really? They got a name for it. I thought it was just called flanking or whatever. I had no idea about it. But code switching is something that I would love for y'all to chime in on about it. Is it something that y'all normally do? Is it something that y'all have to do? I feel like you have to do. Have you done it before? You don't do it anymore? Like with me, I got so frustrated about it because at the end of the day, my voice would be hoarse. I could barely talk. So I was like, the hell with this. I'm not doing this shit no more. Like I'm not code switching. I'm just using my regular voice. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm just not doing it no more. I did it enough. I got frustrated with it, and I said, you know what? I got to find another technique. Code switching ain't working for me no more. How do you feel about it?
God.
Is it something you do?
No.
Let me ask you this: is it something you do unconsciously that you think you may do?
I mean, the only thing that I can 100% say that I do is I am mindful.
Holla, bro. Our production manager's leaving.
Peace, ladies and gentlemen.
Holla, Barry.
Yeah, all right, then peace out. Monday blues.
He behind the scenes, but
Now, I think the only thing that sorry, I try to keep up with everybody. The only thing that I am mindful of is, I have to have my morning adrenaline. So when I'm driving up until I get ready to pull in, I ain't gonna lie, I have my music on like deafening level 10K, whatever you want to call it. Because before I go to work, I gotta feel the bass, I gotta have the speed, I gotta have all of it. And that's how I start out meditating. Yes, that's how I start my morning. But when I have to drive, I gotta have my music. Some people have coffee. I have to have some straight up, music that has a good just thump, like and then I gotta have some speed. That I had those elements. I'm at Zen. But that's about as good as it gets, because where I work at, I'm grateful. They definitely have done and still doing an excellent job making sure everybody feels comfortable and feels appreciated, and it's very diverse. So I don't want everybody like, hey, Casita, because they come in there, boom, 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 boom.
We ain't gonna talk about what you be listening to.
Oh man.
All right, so next question. What's your thoughts on the Black Family Unit? We seem to see a whole lot of black men versus black women podcasts. Obviously this is not going to be that type of podcast, but I mean, what's your thoughts on it right now? What we got going on?
Well, I feel like the dynamics have definitely changed a lot over the last few decades. And I feel like it's deep. It goes really deep, and I feel like it goes all the way back to the Willie Lynch letter. Like it goes way back to that. But present day, I feel like we just have these misconceptions. I grew up from a household where and again, to each their own. I grew up in a household where the wife was a helpmeet, what I'm saying? Like if she wasn't working, she was at home, doing her thing, making sure she kept a home for her husband to come back to, because I feel like a man needs to come home to a place of peace. He had already been out there warm with everybody, doing what he got to do for his family. He needs to come home to a place of peace. That's it. And so, that's how I grew up. But I feel like as time went on, like you could blame, culture, music, television, however. But at some point in time, it's like the families are breaking apart. Everybody has this misconception on responsibility, and okay, that's your job. Oh no, that's your job. Oh, what do you do again? Oh, what's your occupation? Like, there's no unity. There's no, hey, let's work together. Let's form an empire. Like, there's no this. It's like, okay, she's up here, I don't like that, let me go up here. Or vice versa. We're always fighting with each other. We're always trying to compete or one up each other. And that's why we're probably, I feel like, the race that gets laughed at the most. Because I see Asians with they work together, they pull their resources. I see this with Hispanics. I see this with, Indian cultures. But us, no. We're too busy, instead of trying to help build it. The more we put in together, the bigger the wealth. Instead, everybody's like, oh, I got you. Let me do this over here. Like, we should be working together. Even, and the dynamics of that is even where, you're competitive with your significant other. And it's like, y'all work for the same team. So it's like, why? I never understood that. I was like, who y'all competing for? But anyway, that's my view on it. It's just that there's not enough unity anymore, and I feel like it has a lot to do as a result from, music, and then you have to go deeper than that. Who puts it out there? Who says, hey, you gonna write about this song? I ain't gonna do nothing. It's in your contract. You do what we say. You don't know it goes deeper than that. That's a subject for another day, though.
I think one of the biggest problems is we're not loving each other with intention. And when I say intention, I think a lot of us out here, and don't get it twisted, because I was the same way when I was really young. I think we're looking to fall in love instead of loving with intention. And when I say love with intention is, I think when two people get together, not saying we need to have arranged marriages. Okay, I'm not going that far. But I think instead of trying to find someone to fall in love with, me and Casita knew each other for years. And we worked together. We were work friends. We had a lot of respect for each other. We didn't do anything. We didn't run around with each other, nothing like that. But we knew each other. And I think there are so many available men and women in our lives that we don't take enough and just be intentional with saying, I see this person every day. They've always been a good confidant. They've always been in good spirit. Let me just see if I can get to know them a little better. I think we're trying to find somebody to just sweep us off our feet type motion. You know what I mean? It feels to me that we're just not being intentional about it. And so the point that I'm making is that when you fall in love, you're looking at things from an external level instead of being intentional and saying, I've known this person. You know, I've met women that complain to a good man about not finding a good man. Now, don't get me wrong. Maybe that good man's, not quite your type or whatever. But we got to stop looking for this perfect person, because a perfect person just really don't exist. Some of the qualities I look for is just to have fun with someone that I'm comfortable around. If I feel like I got to walk on the eggshells because I fell in love with that person, I'm sweating bullets on the type of tie I'm going to put on when I pick this person up, or the shoes, or what type of cologne she going to like, that's probably the wrong person, bruh. I'm not going to speak for the ladies, but for you young men out here, you should not be getting butterflies in your stomach when you see this person that you're going to fall in love with or whatever. It should be somebody that you found, that you know is a good woman, that you know that you can grow together with. Y'all got some common interests. Some of those things need to be, we can go down the list of, you do need to be on the same level of knowing what you want to do with yourself. We can't go out here picking a soulmate and we don't even know what the hell we're doing with our soul yet. We can't go out here trying to build a future for someone and we don't even know our future yet. The main thing about being intentional is, first you have to be intentional with yourself. You have to know who you are. Because if you're trying to find out who you are in someone else, you're going to make a whole lot of mistakes that this guy made.
I've seen stuff happen, yeah.
Just know who you are. When you know who you are, then who you're supposed to be with is going to become available.
Yep.
So that's my take on it. By any means, I am not a relationship counselor. But all I can say is when I became intentional, then things became right. So I think we got to get back to just being intentional. And I think historically we were intentional. I think when grandma and granddad got together, I think they were intentional. I think they didn't have any choice. I think black love during that time was a different type love. Now, for the women out there, yes, there were some things that were happening with granddaddy having a whole family on the other side of the town. It wasn't right. But that love was intentional. They didn't split up. Little things, the drama, things just didn't come between grandma and granddaddy. So I think they were just a little bit more intentional about their love. So my opinion on that. All right.
Last question.
Last question for Cass. We might spend a little time.
Oh, God.
We'll spend a little time on this one.
Oh, boy.
All right. What's the state of black consciousness, spirituality, and religion? Last question for Black History Month.
This should be some alcohol. We got anything around here?
We might have left something over there. We don't need it. We don't need it. We good.
Man. What is the state of consciousness, spirituality, and religion? Oh boy. So
you're supposed to do homework on this, man.
So it's
do
like
homework.
Okay, go ahead. All right. So all right. I grew up in the church. I grew up Pentecostal. I grew up, I can only talk about myself and what I've seen and what I've read, and we'll just go from there. So I feel like, it's so organized. Religion is so organized, and sometimes people get to a point where they want a little more, and they want a little bit more knowledge, so they end up, they kind of venture out. But that's not the direction I want to go. I feel like things have changed. So let's talk about churches. I feel like things have changed. So when I was going to church, there was a lot more unity. There was a lot more people that came together in fellowship. It was beautiful. There was not a whole lot of drama. There wasn't a whole lot of different things, different dynamics going on in the church. Families were more together, and it wasn't commercialized. So I feel like churches today are more commercialized, and they're more about gaining a buck than helping someone save their soul. If you Google how much money churches bring in, it's ridiculous. And then you think about the fact that we still got homeless people on the street. We still got people that, we got a lot of orphans out here, people that are hungry, people that, it ain't that they don't have any money, they have to pay their bills, but they may not have enough left over to feed their families. You got families like that, working class families that are still struggling to feed their families because they have to choose to pay the bills, utilities first. And so it's like, we think about T.D. Jakes' situation. Joel Osteen, Joel Osteen, it's just so much. Churches are not the way they used to be. What I miss is those old school country churches, right? Where everybody just came together. It wasn't like this big old mega church. You go in there and, you worship God, and you go in at 7 o'clock and you leave at 10, but guess what? You refresh, you're feeling lighter, and you have all of that, that you got what you needed. But now everything's just commercialized. But, then at the same time, we've been reading about people that's been awakening. I am one of them. I had mine last year. That's a story for another day. Unless you've already visited my TikTok account, I already got the story there. But it's like now a lot of people are being called out, and you just have to choose wherever the Lord leads you. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. Consciousness. People are becoming more conscious of what's going on around them. We see it now where people are starting to rebel. We got more people that are like in the courtrooms, they're wearing their natural hair. You got women that's on television, they're wearing their natural hair. Like, we're becoming more conscious. Like, a lot of us, I'm one of them, decided, hey, bump this. I'm not using the relaxer no more. I'm going back natural. I'm becoming more conscious of what it means to have, your natural, to learn about your culture and to kind of just revisit those roots.
No more creamy crack for her.
Yeah, I ditched it. But
did y'all hear Bill that they're trying to get rid of the creamy crack?
All of a sudden.
Yeah, y'all check that out.
Yeah, so, and for those who wonder what we're talking about relaxers, hair relaxers. So that's what.
They know what creamy crack is. They know damn well what creamy crack is.
But, yeah, people are becoming more self-aware. That's the word I'm looking for. People are becoming more self-aware of who they are and what they are, their heritage. They're becoming more in tune with themselves, and I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's important for you to learn who you are, who your ancestors were, what brought them here. All of those old wives' tales, and those old school remedies that your grandma and great-grandma had that made you feel better. Where do you think they got that from? So it's important to learn about your heritage, learn about, African spirituality. It's our history. Nobody's saying go and pick it back up, but just at least know what that is, because a lot of things you want to give a name to is something completely different. Completely different. I remember, someone saying, hey, go over there and get that Clorox over there. Let me put that on your arm. I was a kid. One time I had a wingworm or something. And it was like, hey, I'm like, what you doing? Or turpentine, the belly button, some crazy stuff. Just different things. All of this came from being passed down. It's important in respect to Black History Month. It's important to know all parts of your history.
Yep.
Where everything originated from, down to a lot of people say why they say Grand Rising. Okay, do your research. There's a reason for that. Different things that's been passed down, we're becoming more conscious about. That's why you see a lot of these names changing on statues, and Fort Gordon is now Fort Eisenhower. So now it's becoming a collective consciousness because everybody now wants to see change. So, and this, it's not going to stop because more and more people, not just with us as a culture, but all over the world, it's a mass consciousness happening. People are saying enough is enough.
So I do want to touch on that, and just kind of actually piggyback off of what you said. There is a mass consciousness that we're seeing. It's not a mistake that we're seeing so many different things, especially on social media, about things that, we're discovering that might have been, kind of kept from us from years. And just like Cass said, it's not happening just with the black culture. It's also happening just worldwide, period. Everyone's waking up. That's a really good thing. The scary part about it is, what are the elites going to do about it? Because of course, when we all come together, then it really threatens their position.
Right.
But moving from that to religion, I will say she grew up Pentecostal. I grew up a Baptist. So growing up, I was made. There was no such thing as a Sunday off. I was made to go to church every Sunday. Then I don't care if I pretended to go in the bathroom and throw up, whatever. Mama Dukes wasn't having that. You going to church? And so the funny thing is that when I went into the military, it gave me the opportunity to just start expanding, my knowledge on every other thing. I was always a very inquisitive person, just always curious, wanted to know different things about everything. So the first book that I actually picked up, and it just blew my mind, was Autobiography of Malcolm X. So after I read that book, other books came behind that. And it opened up my own black consciousness. And I think every black person goes through a point where they explore their own black consciousness. Some people keep going, some people stop at a certain level, and some people forget it altogether. All I'm gonna say is this: I have absolutely nothing that I'm ever gonna get into an argument with anyone when it comes to religion, because it's not worth arguing over, because we're all arguing over something called faith. Most of the stuff can't be proven with facts, it's faith. So if it works for you, and it puts you at a higher conscious level, and it makes you a good person towards everyone else and serving a higher power, then I'm all with it. But I can talk about the energy. I can talk about other solutions. I would love to see the hundreds, and I mean hundreds of thousands of churches we have in the United States do something called group economics. Imagine for a second, if every Baptist church in Augusta, Georgia, there has to be at least 50. Because, there's some that's small and there's some that's large. Imagine every Baptist church in Augusta practice group economics to take homeless people off the streets right here in Augusta. What would be so bad about that? Why couldn't we do it? When I see things like that happen, then it gives me a much better outlook. But with the outlook that we're seeing today, I see nothing but individuality. That's all I see. Just a bunch of individualistics of just running around my church, my pastor, my choir. I don't see anything else.
No.
I had 17 years of that. I know how that goes. I get it. But where's the group economics at? Where is it at? If we can find some group economics, group healthcare, resolve some of the issues that happen within the community, I think this is what Christ would have wanted.
Right.
Why can't we do that? Let's produce some real results. It's too much information out here. We're not sitting around anymore in dark ages without information from the internet, without information right at our fingertips. Right now, everyone knows someone that probably has been homeless before. So you mean to tell me, with as many churches as we have, we don't have the opportunity to resolve that? I'll take another day. Christmas. Let's talk about it. There's there's $89 billion spent every Christmas. $89 billion. I'm waiting for us to become conscious, but we can stop making retail stores rich, and we can start taking that money and start pooling it towards something real. We shouldn't have people starving. We shouldn't have people homeless. We shouldn't have people that's looking for, certain healthcare procedures that they can't afford. It's too much money circulating around religious holidays that's not going to the right purpose.
Right.
So that's my issue with it. Until we get to the point where we can start resolving the issues that I think a Christ-like mind would and should do, then hey, I'm all for it. And let me touch a little bit on spirituality. So for me with spirituality, that's something that I'm going through. I think we're experiencing it together. Spirituality simply for me, everybody has their own definition about it. For one, I'm definitely not an atheist. I believe in God, always have. And I believe in Yeshua as well.
Right.
I mean, everybody has a different name. They may call him Jesus. They may call him Yeshua. You got all kinds of names out here, okay? But yes, I do believe in God. I do believe in Yeshua as well. But I don't believe that we have been given the actual proper information, because let's just kick it, man. I mean, we could talk about it all day long. There's nothing to argue about. I mean, we know the Bible has 66 books, but we know that there are many other books that were taken out. And they were taken out for a reason. So when it comes to me, instead of me arguing about religion, I would rather be in tune with spirituality. And spirituality for me simply means I'm going to serve the highest, best good at all times. I don't need religion to be a good person. I don't need a scare tactic that I'm going to go to hell in order to keep me good. I don't need a person telling me, you got to count how many times you've been here. I ain't seen you in a month of Sundays. I think we're taking things now at a level, it's time for solid food. I appreciate and love the fact that my mom made me go to church every Sunday, because that gave me a moral compass very early in life. So I'm not regretting that. I just think that sometimes that you have to take where you're at and you have to go to a different level. Doesn't mean there's a higher level. It's just a different level.
It's just building.
Yeah, that's all we're doing.
Because, like I said, I went to Pentecostal church where they, where you're baptized in water and also in the Holy Spirit. So I would be lying if I sat here and denied all of that, because I had those experiences as a child all the way up to my adulthood. So, but, just like with education, you need to build. Because I don't know about the God everybody else serve, but the one I serve is not confined in a book. God is infinite. God is, he's Alpha and Omega. He's everything. He's not going to be, just compiled in one book. You've heard the term, don't put me in a box. I'm not going to put God in a box. So my relationship with God has transcended because I have a more personal relationship. And that's what spirituality is. It's a more personal relationship. It's getting to know God. It's getting to know what he wants for your life. And a lot of times, like I said, think of church as a school. Yes, you go to the fellowship, you want to make sure that you're still coming together. But it's a starting point. You have to read for yourself, research for yourself. And again, my God is not in a box. He's not confined to a book. He's bigger than that. He's more than that. He's more than 66 books inside a book. He's infinite. So, and that's pretty much, what I was kind of like hitting at earlier. Like, it's your individual relationship. And how that's defined is between you and God.
And I'm going to also say one thing as black people, because we have to talk about us. We have more religion than any other culture on this planet. I mean, we are all over the map. And no, I don't think that's a bad thing. I really don't. I think it's something to be aware of. And I think the reason why we have that is because I believe that our ancestors were ghostwriters for all of it. Every last bit of it. If you sit down and you start studying the text of everything, you're going to find connections in everything. But you're also going to find a lot of this stuff came from where? The continent that's on this woman's shirt. So I think the reason why that so many black people have so many diverse religions is because we were the ghostwriters of it. At the end of the day, most of these things came from melanated people. So instead of us fighting about it, we should be finding connection over it. And there was a time, I forgot who pointed this out, but there was a time where church used to be that spot. If there was something going on and there needed to be something done as far as community-wise, or there needed to be real legislation talked about, it used to be done at church when it benefited black people. But today I think we've gotten away from that, and I think that's why we've also lost a lot of the youth when it comes to religion and when it also comes to just spirituality, period. Elders, we got to start talking to these young people, and young people can't be afraid to talk to us. We got to stop looking down on them. We got to start building our young people up, because I don't think there's nothing wrong with a moral compass. I think a moral compass actually keeps you in a position of doing something outrageously crazy. Okay? Having a moral compass is important, however you get it. I'm not saying you have to go to church to get it, but most people do get a moral compass from starting off, growing up, either going to the mosque, going to the congregation, going to church, whatever your affiliation is. Most people get it through some type of religious practice. But at the end of the day, not to just drag this subject out, we always want to welcome everybody to this podcast. I don't care what religion you are. Now, if you're a Satanist, I don't know. We might have to talk about that. I ain't ready for that shit. I ain't ready for that. But any and all, we ready for you. So we wanted to go live today. I think we been on and took up a good amount of y'all time. We really appreciate y'all participation. We're going to go back. We're going to look at the comments. Again, sorry about the mics, but I'm about to go over to Best Buy and I'm going to throw this at them. Like, this is like a brick.
Like
I'm going to just literally throw it at them. I was on this thing for like 2 hours. 3 hours before we showed up. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to knit a sweater or something, you know.
So, we want to go ahead and wrap it up. Want to give some shout outs to Serious Sage. Want to give some shout outs to Rebel Lion. Want to give some shout outs to our past guests. We had Fran on here. We had Q. We're Cutie boards,
Cutie boards.
Yeah, Q boards. We'll give a shout out to Nikki. Did I miss anyone?
Well, definitely. No, I think that's everybody that we've interviewed in person.
Yep.
Also, Frosty Rose, we haven't forgot about you.
Yep.
Thanks again, because you was the first one who we actually interviewed. So, definitely got some other people that we're going to be got lined up for next month. Met a really nice gentleman at the flea market that has a shop at Aiken. We're going to be checking out real soon. So, yeah, if you want to, again, this is just us trying to get your business out there and let people see what you have and who you are, what you do. So, use us, man.
Absolutely. We're also going to be coming on site as well. If you got a business that you want us to visit, we're ready. Okay? So if you got a business, you want us to do a nice little, we can either go live or we can do a recording and we can do some editing from there. But if you got a business, this is no charge. Not the Breakfast Club yet, so it's gonna be a while for that.
Use us, man. Why you
That's
can't?
right. Why you get this
for free?
We're gonna market
Literally.
it. And whoever comes on here, we're gonna continue marketing on our page as well.
Right.
Love y'all. Peace and love to everyone.